As the American fleet pushed closer to the narrow waters of the Strait of Hormuz, the mission ahead became clear and extremely dangerous. Their objective was simple in theory, but complex in execution: reopen one of the world's most critical oil routes and restore the safe passage of tankers. But standing in their way was a silent and deadly threat beneath the surface. Iranian forces had deployed a network of advanced underwater mines, effectively sealing off the entire strait and turning it into a lethal trap for any vessel that dared to pass. This wasn't a battlefield you could see. There were no visible enemies, no explosions on the horizon, just an invisible minefield lurking below. Modern naval mines are far more sophisticated than the crude floating explosives of the past. These devices sit quietly on the seabed or hover at calculated depths, completely undetectable from above. Equipped with advanced sensor systems, they can identify targets using a combination of magnetic, acoustic, and pressure signatures. A passing ship's metal hull subtly disturbs the Earth's magnetic field. Its engines produce a unique acoustic fingerprint, and its massive weight changes the water pressure around it. When the right combination is detected, the mine detonates, often without any physical contact, making them one of the most dangerous naval threats in modern warfare. Knowing this, the U.S. Navy had to move with extreme caution. The entire fleet reduced speed to a near crawl. At higher speeds, even a single undetected mine could lead to catastrophic damage. Every ship activated its most advanced sonar systems, scanning the waters ahead and below for any anomalies. The atmosphere on deck was tense. Sailors stood ready at their stations, gripping mounted machine guns, eyes locked on both the skies and the sea. The threat wasn't just below, they also had to be prepared for aerial attacks. Iranian drones and missiles could strike at any moment, especially while the fleet was slowed and vulnerable in such a tight and strategic passage. Above the water, helicopters launched from the carrier and began sweeping the area ahead. Flying in precise patterns, they scanned the surface and deployed sonar-equipped sleds dragged through the water, capable of detecting objects hidden deep on the seabed. Door gunners remained on high alert, scanning for any incoming threats. Every movement was calculated, every second critical. Meanwhile, beneath the surface, the real danger unfolded. In the lower decks of one of the ships, Navy explosive ordnance disposal divers prepared for one of the most hazardous tasks imaginable. The fleet remained on high alert as more areas needed to be cleared. On the decks, ammunition crews moved quickly, bringing up heavy belts of rounds for the mounted machine guns. Each belt was checked, loaded, and locked into place. Gunners tested their weapons with short bursts over the water, ensuring everything was fully operational. These guns served a critical purpose. Not only could they defend against incoming drones, but they could also neutralize floating mines spotted on the surface, detonating them safely from a distance before they could pose a threat. As the fleet continued its slow, methodical advance through the strait, every member of the operation understood the stakes. This wasn't just about military strategy. It was about keeping a vital artery of the global economy open. One mistake, one missed signal, one hidden mine could change everything. In these waters, the enemy wasn't always visible, but it was always there, waiting. The destruction of that single mine was only a small victory in a much larger and more dangerous mission. As the fleet cautiously advanced deeper into the Strait of Hormuz, the scale of the challenge became even more apparent. This wasn't just a scattered minefield, it was a layered defense, carefully designed to slow down, confuse, and potentially cripple even the most advanced naval force in the world. Every few hundred meters, new sonar contacts appeared. Some turned out to be harmless debris, old wreckage, or natural rock formations. But others demanded immediate attention. Each unidentified object had to be treated as a potential threat. The process repeated again and again: scan, identify, verify, and if necessary, neutralize. It was slow, exhausting, and mentally draining work, where patience mattered more than speed. Inside the command center, officers tracked every movement on massive digital displays. The fleet's formation, the positions of helicopters, underwater drones, and diver teams, all synchronized in real time. Communication had to be flawless. A single miscalculation, or delay, could expose the fleet to danger. The narrowness of the strait left little room for error. Ships couldn't simply maneuver freely. They were confined, predictable, and therefore vulnerable. And that vulnerability was exactly what made the situation so tense. Reports began to come in. Unidentified aerial activity detected at long range. Radar systems picked up faint signals, possibly drones. Instantly, the mood shifted. Anti-air systems locked onto the potential threats, tracking their movement across the sky. Sailors tightened their grip on their weapons. The fleet could not afford to be caught off guard while focused on the mines below. Moments passed like hours. The signals faded. False alarm, or perhaps a test. Either way, it was a reminder that the threat wasn't limited to the water. It was multidimensional, unpredictable, and constant. Back below the surface, another team of divers prepared for deployment. This time, the conditions were even more challenging. The seabed terrain had shifted, becoming uneven and cluttered with natural formations. Mines placed in such environments were far harder to detect and even harder to neutralize. These weren't just weapons, they were strategic obstacles designed to exploit both technology and human limitations. The divers descended once again into the darkness, moving with controlled precision. Every motion was deliberate. Their training took over, suppressing fear and focusing only on the task ahead. As they navigated through the underwater terrain, they encountered another mine, but this one was different. It was newer, more advanced. Its structure suggested enhanced sensor capabilities, possibly programmed to ignore smaller disturbances and only activate under specific conditions. This meant even detection equipment could struggle to trigger it safely. It was a waiting game, silent, patient, and deadly. The divers held their position, carefully observing without getting too close. Back on the ship, analysts reviewed the live feed, studying every detail. This wasn't just about destroying a mine. Each device revealed something about the enemy's strategy, their technology, and their intentions. Again, the decision was made: remote neutralization. The disposal vehicle was deployed once more, but this time, the approach had to be even more precise. The operator adjusted every movement carefully, ensuring minimal disturbance in the water. The charge was placed with surgical accuracy. A pause. Then another controlled detonation. Another plume of water erupted on the surface. Another threat eliminated. Slowly but steadily, a safe corridor began to take shape. Behind the fleet, cleared waters marked progress. Ahead, uncertainty remained, but the mission was working. Above, the helicopters continued their relentless patrol patterns, while additional support ships maintained defensive coverage. Submarines in the group monitored deeper waters, ensuring no hidden threats approached from below. Every layer of the operation worked together like a single coordinated system. Time passed. Hours turned into an extended operation, stretching across the day. Fatigue began to set in. But there was no room for error now. Finally, after countless scans, dives, and detonations, the sonar teams reported something different. No new contacts. The path ahead, clear. Carefully, the fleet began to increase speed. Not much at first, just enough to confirm stability. The tension didn't disappear, but it shifted. For the first time, there was a sense of momentum, of breakthrough. One by one, the ships moved forward through the cleared channel. Behind them, the silent threat of mines had been neutralized. Ahead of them, open water. And beyond that, global impact. Because what happened here, in this narrow stretch of water, would ripple across the entire world. Oil would flow again. Trade routes would stabilize. Markets would respond. but for the sailors, divers, and crews who made it possible. It wasn't about geopolitics or economics. It was about precision, discipline, and surviving one of the most dangerous naval operations ever carried out beneath the surface. For more latest updates, don't forget to subscribe our channel.